And you guys, at the time, I started out modeling, and that was my first career professional. And I was modeling for Maybelline 2 years into, I worked with them for 5 years, so I was 2 years in. And they wanted me to show up for the photo shoot, and they didn't want to pay me. So I said no. And then they turned to Tina, I guess, and asked her to be in it. So that's the true story, and that's what happened.
Good for you.
Yes!
Yeah. It has been rectified. A beautiful man by the name of Michael Fiore hired Jason Kincaid, and he illustrated. I have it out there in the lobby, and I'm now on the poster.
Yay!
And I'm the only one that has it. And he gave it to me as a gift. It's in my home.
Aww. As it should be.
Yeah. So this was directed by Martha Coolidge.
Yes.
And you did 2 films with her.
Yes.
And, you know, I mean, at the time, so groundbreaking to have, I mean, the film itself really is quite groundbreaking, but, you know, to have a female director was, in the early 80s, completely unheard of. Did it feel like that to you?
No, because I did not grow up in the business. I grew up in Texas, and I was fresh into that business. I was 20 when I did Valley Girl. I arrived in Hollywood when I was 17, turning 18. I was sitting across from the guy from Grateful Dead, Andy or David, someone Garcia.
Jerry Garcia?
Okay, I don't know.
Someone Garcia.
Andy Garcia.
I still don't know who he is. I just didn't
He's an
know.
up-and-coming
You guys, I
musician.
just didn't know these things. You know, and he knew that I didn't know who he was when I was sitting across from him, and he sort of pointed out that I didn't know who he was. And I just, those things that wasn't in my radar, you know? I was happy to be working with a female, but I didn't know that, wow, that it was a thing, you know, at the time. And we had rehearsal, and for me, it just felt normal, you know, whether it was a female or a male, it felt normal for me.
Well, it's interesting watching this movie again, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but it just struck me how well it ages. And you can't say that about every movie, but this movie really ages well. And I have to ask you about something that, well, you can set the record straight. Maybe it's an urban legend, maybe it's not. Nicolas Cage wrote you poetry? Yes? No?
Yes. Yes, he wrote me a poem called, I think it was called The All-American Girl. And it was just like a paragraph long, and I have it in a scrapbook at my mom's. Yeah. Hey, you know that little whistle I was telling you, I leaned into you, that little whistle he blows when, it's like a wax whistle, I think it is.
Yeah, I wonder what the hell that was.
He lost it, and because he wanted to use it in another scene. Oh man, he just went so ballistic, because he didn't have his whistle. So, but Nick he had stuff like that he just pulled out. I'm sure Martha did not know he was going to pull a whistle out of his pocket and start blowing it. So, you know, it meant something to him when he lost it. He had lots of that. I loved that guy. Yeah.
You had another great story you needed to tell me. She was walking to the house.
Yeah.
And they had a little gesture, and you were telling me about it.
Yeah. At the end of the montage, well, you can kind of see I'm now dressing like him. I'm wearing a leather jacket, and he's holding onto my leather jacket, and I'm walking into the door, and you can kind of see me grab my nose, but he actually grabbed his nose first, which is, his back is to camera, so you can't see it, but he's grabbing his nose, and he's giving it to me. And I gave him back my nose. It was just something that we came up with. It was ours. It was our own personal thing, as couples have, that's just intimate between the two people. And so that was ours, that we would give each other's nose. I don't know, whatever. It might have been something we were just playing with at, lunch. So we just kept it.
That's awesome. All right, we don't want to hog it all. Who's got a question? Yes, right there.
The fashions,
Uh-huh.
your fashion wasn't typical 80s, but as an 80s girl, it was like, her clothes are so cute. But it wasn't that flashy Madonna 80s kind of look for you. Did you have anything to do with that?
I was, some of the costume was mine, and some of it was Heidi Holliker. She had a lot of stuff that she sort of donated to the cause, because it was a very low budget film. And some of it was stolen too. I don't know if you noticed in the health food store, I have blue jeans on, then I have turquoise pants on, and blue jeans. My turquoise pants were stolen, so that's why there's like this weird pant thing going on in that scene. Also, I didn't say this to you guys, but Soleil Moon Frye's brother dressed Nick Cage and Cameron. And he was 16. He was 16 at the time.
Wow.
And he's, yeah. Here's what's strange. We've been friends for so long, I didn't even know he was Soleil Moon Frye's brother. It's like, you know, I'm sort of, it's not that I'm dense or dim, but things do get past me sometimes, you know.
Well, at that time, I mean, when did Punky Brewster premiere? Was that 86, 87?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I know.
This guy was
from.
only 16.
Yeah, that's great.
And he dressed on him.
Which is great. It's like, did they basically like let him dress him like 16-year-olds dressed in the 80s?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's
and
great.
he did all of Nick and Cameron stuff, all that red and black stuff.
Can we go back to sleepovers where we eat Oreos and Cheetos? I saw that and I was just like, my God.
Who else has it?
Okay, well, my main question is just, because it was kind of Martha's first, big film or whatever, and you had a few, lesser parts or whatever, but it was your first big film. So what was it that made you realize that this was the film that you should take? Because you're perfect in the role, but what was it that made you say, I've got to do this film?
No, it didn't happen that way for me. I was at a go-see with Jennifer Shaw. She was the head of casting, I think it was Columbia. I was on a lot, Burbank Studios lot. I think they shared at Columbia and Burbank at the time. I was just on a go-see, which means you just meet the casting director, you bring your headshot and your resume, which was probably just like 2 things on it, and that's it. And then she said, there is a film that's casting right now, you'd be perfect for it. Let me contact Annette Benson, and see, and get you in. I got in that day, I read with her, and then they said stay, and then I read with the director, for the director, and then they said stay, and then I had to do some more, and I think it took about a couple days, and then it was offered to me. So my agent didn't get me into that. In fact, when I auditioned, I hadn't even read the script. I didn't even know what a Valley Girl was either. I had to listen to the Moon Unit Zappa.
Yeah,
Because, I was in Texas. We didn't have Valley Girls in Texas. So
I do want to, I want to ask you a question. It's something that came up. You told us a great story at dinner tonight. My favorite scene in this film is the bathroom scene, right? Nick Cage is hiding in that shower stall, and he's like, taxi drivering all those people as they come in. I mean, I love that scene forever and ever, and I love so much your reaction to him when he comes out, because you could, there's so many reactions you could have. You could be horrified, you could be like freaked out, oh, he just watches people go to the bathroom. But you're so sort of amused about this, and there's that cute guy, what's going on? I love that scene so much, and you told us today about Peter Dinklage won an award this year, and he name dropped that specific film and that scene, and you specifically as being sort of an inspirational scene for him as a young actor.
I was notified on Instagram by a friend of mine and he was watching the Gotham Awards on YouTube. He said, oh my God, Peter Dinklage just said your name. And so I didn't know what this was, and so I sleuthed it, and I went to YouTube myself, and I had already, all his speech had already been put into a YouTube upload into it. And so I saw it, and he talked about Nicolas Cage asking Deborah Foreman out in the bathroom, and then he said something, where are we gonna go? And Nick says, I don't care, whatever he said. I went, oh my God, that was Peter Dinklage said that. It was so cool. Because I'm a huge fan of his. I love Game of Thrones, but I think Peter Dinklage, he has soul. He just has so much soul in those eyes,
Well, it's just a reminder what a great scene that is.
Yeah,
It really is. Who else has a question?
So thoughtful.
Right back there?
Yeah, it's kind of on the same vein. I was just gonna ask you, what was your favorite scene to film and why?
Oh, it's so hard. It's, what, I always say this scene, and it's just mine, it's just personal to me. When Nick and I are, and Heidi and Cameron are in the convertible, and we're driving around. Nick and I, we were, I don't know, but it's something about just those, I guess we're getting to know each other, the movie, the Julie and Randy. I just love that moment in that car for some reason. I don't know why. That's mine.
Right here.
Hi, Deborah. Welcome to Columbus.
Thank you. Thank you.
how old-
OH.
Is he not? You're a shit.
Wow. When we landed, there was a guy in the plane, he goes, OH, and there's like two people back, IO! And I was going, what? That is so cool.
I was like, it's a sports thing.
So cool, okay.
How aware were you that Nick was part of the Coppola family, and did he carry himself differently than other teenagers or young 20-somethings because of that?
That's I have personal conversations with him about that, so I'll just keep that personal. I did not know about all of that. I had never seen Apocalypse Now, so no, I didn't know about his lineage and what it meant and how powerful it was at the time, no.
Awesome. Thank you.
So this was the first film where he uses Cage for a last name. This was the first one where he used that name.
Yeah.
And so that's very interesting. So it clearly wasn't something that he was boasting about at the time.
No, and he told me he felt caged like an animal, and that's what he chose, cage. That's what he said.
Well, he's been so low-key since then.
It still is.
Right. Yeah, right there.
So I'm here tonight with my husband, but in memoriam of my best friend who loved your freaking movie. He died a year ago. So what I'm going to ask you is, lots of people took different things from your movie. So there were lots of us weirdo kids who saw it as like, yes, like the weird kid won, you know? How do you feel about it? How like everyone took something different from just this kind of benign 80s movie?
It's about love. The film is about love. And it hit all your senses. It hit your sound. It hit what you hear, what you feel, and what you see. So how can you not? And because a lot of us are more seeing driven, or a lot of us are more feeling driven. A lot of us are more tactile. So it's going to touch everybody in all those. And then the music too on top of it. It made you feel something. You know, it still does. That's my song. I'm not with you. I'm sorry, but that's mine. You know, so I think that's maybe why. No.
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
And I'm sorry.
Sure, totally.
I was just gonna say, correct me if I'm wrong, but the nightclub scenes were filmed in the bar that later became the Viper Room,
Yes.
which is now being shut down. Is that?
It's being demolished for a.
What?
Yeah, they're going to demolish the Viper Room to build a high rise.
Oh, you're giving me tingles. I didn't know
It's
that.
basically OSU campus at this point.
It was the central, and we used the basement to change it, and it had a light bulb with a string on it, and it was half cement and half dirt. And I went in there later, and they had changed that whole basement. It was beautiful, a small bar down there, and you can sit, and it was really pretty. But when we were there, it was like, and the windows, you know, has the basement windows that are up above. Yeah.
Yeah.
The room looked the same though, where they even performed. They had made that the same.
Yeah, that was the
At the
first thing I
Viper Room.
noticed was the stages and the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You walk in the front door of that place, the stage.
Because if you've ever been, we went to the Viper Room one time, and it's just amazing how small it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
small.
it's very, very small. I'm
The only
sorry.
thing they changed is the bathrooms were renovated.
Yeah, so I'd ask, are you surprised by, I mean, you've almost achieved a certain amount of cult following, but the movie's from that time period.
Yeah.
Are you surprised by that? The second thing I'd
Yes.
ask is, what is it with that clown doll?
We were all wondering, we were all like, who's
Scary
getting
as
first
hell.
ask about
Maybe
that
it was
doll?
just the closest thing, and I'm just hugging it. I don't know. I did not buy that doll. I did not own that doll.
Well, good, 'cause it's
That
cursed.
doll was already there. It was a prop doll. Okay. It was just the closest thing. I don't know.
Did you get to choose which doll of the prop dolls that you wanted?
No, the bed was already made. I said, oh no.
Did you just do a seance and that one was like,
I get to pick the doll.
Way in the back. Way in the back. Yeah, you, sir.
Hi.
Hello.
Without any hyperbole whatsoever, Valley Girl's like one of my favorite films of all time.
Thank you.
Top 10 film. I saw it when it came out. I've seen it probably about 100 times. I own
Wow.
VHS, DVD, now on Blu-ray.
Wow.
Favorite film of all time.
Wow.
Thank you.
Gorgeous film. It's got me through some really bad ones of time, and I still will. I mean, right now, I'm shaking with anxiety. In fact, I've actually meeting or talking to somebody that,
Oh.
I've never met anybody else in film. But, yeah, I got to see Hyde Holliker by text once before, but that's another thing. But my question, because I'm a huge music geek, out of that movie, I Know With You, Million Miles Away, and Johnny You're Queer are huge, huge songs now. But what's your favorite song in film, and why?
Oh, it's definitely I'm Out With You.
I knew she was
100%.
gonna say that.
It reminds me of the montage that it's looped to,
Oh, okay.
that's connected to. Yeah, absolutely. Those will be my memories for the rest of my life. That was a moment in time that I got to spend with it. I mean, it was only three weeks that we shot that film. But it's a lifetime of memories.
And every time they showed the band was the Plimsolls, correct?
Yes.
And I don't think they ever changed clothes, did they?
I was waiting for the subtitle that's like later that night.
Yes.
Just as a follow-up, real quick, did you know that the music at the time would make such an impact as former did you know that it would make such an impact on people like me?
No clue. I'm just so fortunate that I was able to be a part of certain films back in the 80s, like April Fool's Day and Valley Girl, that I'm still sort of getting to share with people and talk to people about, and it's 40 years later, y'all. It's 40. So, it's an honor to be a part of that.
And also, while you mentioned the music, I don't know if anybody saw the Sparks Brothers documentary, but there are 2 Sparks songs in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's awesome, because it's like when they were like still going, they're still
No,
going.
the end of the movie, the spark.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
It was
Okay.
the Monster, the Love is a Monster song, whatever, that was Sparks, and then Angst in My Pants earlier in the movie.
How much time we got, Mike?
There's someone else.
3 or 4 more questions.
Okay.
In the montage, when he's following you around and you're at the drive-in restaurant, he spits his gum in Tommy's lap.
Yes.
Did you break character?
Yeah, none of us knew that he was going to do that. So absolutely, that made me laugh so hard. And if anything, Tommy broke character.
Yeah.
More than I did. I mean, and even the people in the back seat. It was Heidi and it was I think it's Chris Murphy was with us. I think it was. And they did too. They saw it. They could see what he did. That was so much fun. It was so much fun.
As soon as they said, because I hadn't, my first time seeing him, as soon as they told Nicolas Cage to go wild, I was like, oh shit. I was like, where's this gonna go? And I was like, began, I just couldn't stop laughing the rest of the sequence.
And did any of the girls there and the cast question the Nicolas Cage chest hair thing going on?
What a perfectly cut.
What was happening there?
It was like a bat symbol. It really was.
Oh, no, it wasn't bat symbol. It was Superman.
Oh,
Of course.
It was the triangle.
Wow.
It was Superman.
Deep dive.
Martha Coolidge felt he was a little bit
hirsute.
hairy. Just too much hair for that age group. And so she had him. I don't think she said do the triangle. I think he said I'll do the triangle. And so there it came. Yeah, I like that triangle.
It's attention getting, yes it is.
A couple more questions.
Couple more? Ooh, oh, yes, ma'am.
I got a 2 for you. So,
Okay.
first one is, out of the cast, who did you get along with best? Who was like your best buddy? And second of all, what is something that would be interesting for us to learn about filming or the film that we don't know to ask, basically?
Okay, the first one is Elizabeth Daly.
I'm so glad that's your answer.
We were roommates.
Oh.
We shared a house for a year. That would be her. And let's see, something you might not know, because I shared the nose thing. What story did I break into at the table and then I didn't finish it?
Well, it was the poster, so we talked about that, yeah.
You knew about the poem, you knew about the pants. Okay, it's all, this movie's like going through my head right now. Gordon Booth, the third AD, he was the limousine driver. So he was part of crew. And I told you about Sean Fry. I'm not thinking right now. I don't think anything else. Yeah. Other than it was Tina Thurberg. I know I'm messing up her last name. She was the one that was on the poster. She was the girl in the club that Nick has an affair with in the bathroom. She was the one on the poster.
Did anybody else think that whole time, there's so much DNA in this bathroom right now? You guys really ought to just keep your clothes on. Also, what did the poster say?
The poster said, "Freshen up your mouth right now." Like, okay, that's good advice. Freshen up. Yeah.
Right now.
Right now.
I've been in that bathroom. Or the one across the hall.
No. I remember there was a story. Okay, so Fred Elms was doing an interview for AFI, and he shared a story. So the cast must not have known what this was going on, but they hired two fraternities that were rival fraternities for the prom sequence. And so what happened is there was a fight that broke out, and someone's car ended up in that gym. And I never saw that car go into the gym. I never saw any fights broke out. I don't know where I was, but that he actually told those stories. I went, okay, so maybe it was just a staff thing. Maybe it was just a crew that knew this story.
Also,
Maybe it was in my dressing room.
The teacher who wanted to introduce you.
The prom
Yes,
queen.
yes.
She was an acting coach, and I ended up studying with her for about a year after we shot the film. And so did Michelle Mayrick. Yeah, we were students there.
That's right, that was the story that you wanted to tell.
The
That's
gym
right.
story,
Yeah.
fraternities.
The fraternity one,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, we got one more, Mike? What do you think?
Yeah.
So, absolutely love the film.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it. Did you have any keepsakes from the film or any mementos that you kept after?
Besides the doll?
Besides the doll, yeah.
You didn't bring that doll with you.
Yeah, I
did you?
do have the poem in a scrapbook. I didn't keep, because like I said, some of the clothes were already mine. And what was it, Woody Woodpecker pin?
Yes.
I lost it.
Oh.
I lost it. But that was mine too. Yeah.
Did you have any of the clothes like packed away, or did you keep anything, or was
No.
it just like, yeah, I thought we'd move on?
Yeah, no, I kind of go through things and I let go, yeah.
Nice. Cool. One more? We got one more? Otherwise, we'll go ahead. You can still ask.
That
Okay,
is
yes,
one.
straight back.
So this is a Los Angeles film, and Los Angeles is such a character in film throughout the decades.
Mhm.
But this is kind of a snapshot of Los Angeles, in the early '80s. And I know you weren't from Los Angeles, but you moved there. So, this film kind of defines that area for a certain time. So what was your experience when you moved to Los Angeles and working on this film, and what do you think it says about, because it's changed a lot, right? So
Mhm.
I would just like to hear your thoughts on that.
It was more, we were shooting in Hollywood, and it was very much definitely Hollywood. I mean, that's what it looked like. And then after the film, I know Michelle Mayrick, Crispin Glover, Nicolas Cage, who else? It was big, there was a street right off of Hollywood Boulevard. They all lived in an apartment complex. And my brother ended up living in the same place. So I did get to experience Hollywood. And then Michelle and I were friends too, but not like Elizabeth and I. But Michelle and I would take the bus around. It's like, and then, because we were in class together with Joanne Barron, and Joanne said, well, you should take your scene and you should, go into public places and not let them know that you're doing a scene in a public place. So we would go on the bus and we would act our scene out.